Welcome to the second part of the fifth episode of this video essay. In the first part of this fifth episode, we went through some features that make fascism. The conclusion was that the integral or score of it was that it was a distorted, infantile view of the world, and also through its carriers, the political heroes, the leaders, the great masters of that type of politics, the strongmen. It is also a form of personality-related psychopathology, which through these leaders has been brought to the political agenda. So in that respect, we always have to make separation between what is a personality and what is the social that this personality has been brought into, and what kinds of effects it then causes in that particular collective. Before we move to this part of my take on fascism, let's take a little bit time to compare these findings of the previous episode to the findings related to Soviet communism. There seems to be some form of simplification present in both of them, but these simplifications have also differences. The color, the mode or the mood of Soviet communism was more of an intellectual simplification, intellectual fascination, which includes in its presence certain forms of simplification, which means class war, thesis, antithesis, or Lenin's interpretation of Marx's interpretation of Hegel. Here, in the case of fascism, the simplification is more instinct-driven, instinct-based, emotional life, motivated or driven. It gets its engine, its fuel, from instincts that are based on crude descriptions relating to tumultuous love and hatred relationship. But there is way more to discover about the nature of this form of pseudoscience. In order for us to be able to move on and arrive to the conclusion that we need to arrive to, I think it would be useful to have a more concise definition of fascism. What we have had so far and before has its merits, but basically Stanley Jason's descriptions are based on 10 traits or 10 symptoms. And why I use the word symptom is that looking at that list is more like looking at the symptoms of a disease. And if it's looking at the symptoms of a disease, then the next question, obvious question, is that in order for us to be able to fully understand the illness behind these symptoms, a more essence-focused approach is needed. We need to focus more on what is the essence or the real core of this form of thinking. What happens next is actually one of those lucky coincidences, or what some people call synchronicities, and things falling into right place. When I was going through different YouTube videos about other presenters presenting their ideas about what fascism is about, I found this chap called Chapman. Hello Ryan, if you're there, there is also a link to your excellent video. Ryan suggested that the core of fascist thinking is what fascists coined in their political posters and or placards. Blut und Boden, German, which translates to blood and soil. For Ryan, the core of fascist thinking is to think in terms of blood and soil. I definitely think that he's onto something with this core definition. If there ever was anything, any slogan capable of encapsulating anything essential about the ideology of Hitler's followers, it is indeed this phrase. In it there's racially defined national body, the blood, and there is also this racially defined national body when it is taking hold of its rightful ownership of a certain living space, Lebensraum, settlement area, which is referred to in this slogan with the concept soil. And this soil can be Polish fields or other territories or other countries anywhere in the world. And this new settlement area, wherever it is taken by force from groups of people which are considered lesser humans, whether they are Polish, Jewish, Slavic, you name it. After Ryan has given this basic definition of what fascism is all about, he also adds that the definition should somehow do justice to the demonic character of this ideology. Well, Ryan, I'm here now trying to do my further elaboration of your original definition. I hope you don't mind if I dabble with it. So here is my take on your definition. And my definition, basically, it tries to capture more of this demonic character of this political movement. So Ryan's original definition is: the fascist thinking is to think with blood and soil. For me, this is: we fascists think with the boiling blood of hatred, of national blood. We think with the soil of our living space, of our natural right to the ownership of a certain soil, which is our God-given and natural birthright. Something else, now that we've given more demonic understanding definition of what fascism is all about, we still have an open question. And that open question is that what defines fascism as a form of pseudo-science? So, we have two things that have come to our attention now. There is the other one that comes from Jason Stanley, and his take, which was more focused on symptoms, you could say. And then there is this more essence-driven approach by Chapman. When we think about Stanley's approach to this thing, when you look at all the symptoms that he gives, what comes out of it very clear, defined, is that we get this feeling of hodgepodge quality in all of this. And what I mean by this is that when we look at the fascism on the level of its signs and or symptoms, there is this ad hoc quality in it. It is as if someone had put together the most insane story of different ingredients. A story that does not make sense rationally or logically. And if you look at it more closely, the only thing that seems to hold the whole story together is the sheer power of the anger of the person who made it up. So that's the sort of symptom level. On the essence level, when we talk about the essence of this pseudoscience, it seems to reveal its final goal. What drove it in the first place? What was the thing that, when all these ingredients were put together, what was the final goal, the final solution that it always wanted? And that, from the definition that I defined according to Chapman's definition, this seems for me to be acts of aggression, either on the level of thoughts, speech, or actions. So, when we finally come to my definition of this pseudoscience, or these both things are sort of like taken into account in it. So for me, when we talk about the pseudoscience behind fascism, it is ideas in which mythical and make-believe science are mixed together in a hatred-infused hodgepodge of ideas of superior race, obsession in national sexual purity or national reproductive purity, and self-justified actions to subjugate living spaces of those groups of people which are considered to be lower in societal hierarchy. This is the specific form of pseudoscience, for me, that is behind fascism. That's it. That's all I want to say about fascism. In the next episode, we expand our findings regarding communism and fascism, or the pseudosciences that are behind them, to parts of normal, everyday political life in Western democracies, and which, at least from on the surface level, it seems like, we are moving away from something pathological to something that is basically healthy. So I will be talking about normal functions of healthy liberal democracies, different parties, the press, the think tanks, the lobbyists, the modern politicians or political leaders. The question is that when we have all these grassroots movements, grassroots actions taking place, how does anything that happens there relate to, or does it relate at all to the findings that we have had by now in regards to these two undemocratic pseudosciences of communism and fascism? So, as always, if you liked what you just heard, went through with me, and seem to like where I'm going with this essay, you can always press subscribe. It's good for me and it's good for you, especially for you, because then you get a reminder of when I put the next video out here. And if you don't want to do that, you can always press that like button. That's all for today. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I see you in the next episode.